Thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me clearly. But before I actually jump into what resilience means to me and how did I develop this, I want to tell you more about me. Um, I'm actually, my name is Shaima, first of all, and I'm 25 years old, going for 26 very soon. I'm not happy about that. But what else? And I also spend a lot of time painting and learning new techniques and implementing them. I hope one day I have a dream of actually having my own gallery. And I have to make it happen because it's really, I have passion for it. Personally, I mean, professionally, I joined ISEC back in 2018. I was MC. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the positions, or I was called MCVP or like head of operations. And I was handling. I did a mistake. I mean, even my MCP, I think that was not a good advice to give me to handle all the products back then. We had like 3 products which still exist, but the names are different. Um, and I was doing incoming and outgoing, total mistake. And then I realized that at some point I realized it was very exhausting. I didn't achieve a lot and I didn't have my main focus. So this was my first position in ISEC. And then I actually I applied to be the president of ISEC in the UAE. And that was in 2019, 2020. So my successor is actually Monica, who maybe you met previously. And then I joined Sustainable Square. After finishing my ISEC term, I joined Sustainable Square, where me and Meet used to work together. But currently, I have moved from Sustainable Square to Siemens. It was a very difficult decision to make because I really felt very comfortable working with the people at Sustainable Square, and the work that I did was so much fun. So, but yeah, I'm also currently doing business development and strategy at Siemens. But my actual background is I'm a chemical engineer. So actually ISEC has helped me move and try different things. I tried doing marketing. I tried, as I told you previously, I handled operations. I did BD as an MCP. It was crazy. Again, I think it was a kind of mistake because I think I mean, I didn't have the right person to do that, and there was someone had to run the entity properly. So and that's where I actually got the position of BD in Sustainable Square, and now from Sustainable Square to Siemens, I'm doing business development again. So I remember back in 2000, it was 19 when I applied to join or like be the president of ISEC in the UAE. And before taking the MCP position, I knew that the entity was not financially stable. I knew that there were only 4 people in the entity. I knew that there was 0 membership, and I knew that there were no partners. And on my first week, I still remember the date where I had my 2 MCs, or my 2 members joining, coming from their different countries. And on the first week, they broke a lot of policies and they did a lot of things that were not ethical, basically. And I had to fire them. So can you imagine? I spent around 3 months recruiting them, educating them, building capacity, telling them to join conferences, and back then there was IC and so on. So after these 3 months of so much effort and sleepless nights and long calls. They were really long calls where I would sit and talk about what do we want to do for the entity in the next term. I decided to actually fire them for really unethical things that they have done. So you can imagine with all of these challenges, it was crazy. I won't say I was strong, because I'm not a perfect. I'm a human, and I'm not perfect. I really went crazy. I started crying, and I really didn't know what to do. I remember talking to different people, and I do also remember after going through these emotions, I stopped and I said, I need a 3 days break so I can get my mind back and see what do I want to do. Um, I had actually thoughts of just leaving and not even looking back at all of this disaster. Okay, why is this not? Um, and of course, this was not it. As I mentioned, it was not mentally easy to fix everything. Um, it was mentally and emotionally draining, and I mean, I'm still getting back the feelings now. It was really difficult, especially when there were people that didn't believe in you, um, and they were like waiting for you to just fall, and they're like, "Oh, I'm such a weak person. She fell now. She's not going to stand up again." So yeah, it was really difficult. But I also had two options. I could keep going, or I could run away, as I said. Um, and guess what? Which one did I choose? It's a question. Monica, don't answer. Okay, yes,
I'm
exactly.
assuming you didn't run.
Come again?
I'm assuming you did not run.
Yeah, yeah. That's why my story is complete today. Um, so I was basically resilient, and I kept moving. Um, and these are the battles that I won, because I stayed, because I showed up, because even though I didn't know if I had to go to this meeting or I had to meet this person, I didn't know how would this end up, or I didn't know how many members would I get when I did recruitment and so on, because it was again challenging to actually recruit people back then, but it's no more because now we have the basic foundation to do that. So actually, the battles I won is I recruited an educated membership, very well educated membership that you actually you're going to meet today, or you have met them previously, and the people who are actually taking the entity forward. So that was my aim. So I said, if there is there's no we call it like a membership pipeline. There's no membership pipeline who's going to take that entity forward. So I focused on that, and then I wanted to create sustainable partnerships, and thankfully I was able to do that. I even these people, one of them is Sustainable Square, who actually hired me later on. Um, and I have some partners who actually are mentors to me today, and they're like, Shaima, you have done a great job in ISEC, so we really want to stay with you wherever you are, and we want to know what are you doing, and mentor you and guide you throughout your career or your journey, or your mission. um, so the third thing is I also aimed for sustainable finance, or I wanted to create a sustainable entity with sustainable finance, because that's important. We cannot run when we do not have enough money. But I mean, during this time, I do not want to mention this, but I also want to tell you why I want to mention this now is because it showed how resilient I was, because I really wanted to make this happen. So I was not paid any salary during this 2 terms that I did for ISEC, because we were just simply, we were not financially stable. We had to use this money to actually register the entity. We had to use the money for other legal things. So that was like, I was very sometimes I would have to even like pay for my pocket money and so on. So it's not, I'm not saying that this is what ISIC is. It's just that the entity was at this point when I joined, but I believe it's no more now. So I'm also proud of, I'm also proud of the team that came after me. They did a really great job. So these were my battles, and of course, like we had the when my term started, we brought in the a really big contract that maybe you're aware of. It was for DP World. I'm sure you have seen the posts on social media. I think we agreed, as I remember, when I mean, at the end of my term, it was like for 360 interns. And yeah, that was big. So again, it was not just me, um, being a superwoman, and I could get over it. But actually, I did some things that helped me get over these challenges and the difficult things that I had to go through. Um, so I would sometimes talk to people I trust. They were my MCs, they were my LCPs. I'm not saying that I'm MCP or I'm the president of ISIC in the UN. I never talk to my MCs, and I never have to talk to LCPs because I should be leading them. But it was always a conversation of, guys, I need your help. Let's sit on this table and talk about how can we make the entity better. With Because everyone had a different experience in ISEC, and I really wanted to understand what are their aims, how can we make the entity better together. So I spoke to people who I can trust. I had amazing MCs, I had amazing LCPs. I talked to some partners who I can trust and know about ISEC in the UAE, who have been actually board of advisory previously. Um, I had MCPs who basically were going through the same thing in different countries, and I spoke to them, had calls with them, and also we had the regional office, had a coach. I was very direct. I would say that this didn't work. Let's focus on what can we do on next month. What do you think could work? Sometimes people don't understand your reality, but you should push your opinion, or you should push the facts that you have, and what you see. So and I also watched TED Talks. Sometimes I was very down, and when I watched these talks, they would actually give me facts or ideas where I could implement on myself and on my team. And sometimes I was like, as I mentioned previously, it was like mentally exhausting, so I needed someone to actually motivate me. That's where I actually used the to watch the TED Talks. I read a lot of strategy books. Example, back then, when I was MCP, I read uh, the Lean Startup, if I'm getting the name correctly. It's by Eric, and it talks about how can you launch, because I think at that time the entity needed to actually to rephrase everything. And I remember a friend advised me to read that book. So it was basically about um, how can I start small and start small and try testing small and see what works best. And then finally, I also had some mental talk with myself, and I used to speak to myself a lot, and I had these. Sometimes these talks were not very good. Um, I would beat up myself, and it was really not very healthy. But sometimes I would, tell myself that if I didn't take this position and if I didn't um, be there, then I'm not sure what would have happened to the entity, because it was in a really very difficult place. So yeah, of course I had some positive talks with myself too. That's why I was able to overcome it. And I remember one of the board of advisory, like back in 2006, who's no more board of advisory, called me one day because he knew I got the position. Um, at the beginning of my term, he said, I think maybe you will not be able to make it because there were a lot of other MCPs that were not able to make it. So let's see what happens to you. This is exactly what he told me. And then in the middle of my term, he gave me a call out of nowhere, and he said, did you raise the white flag yet? And I laughed. I said, no. I mean, I went through a lot of mental and emotional, journey. And I'm kind of halfway there with the things that I'm fighting for the entity. Why should I stop now? Even though it was difficult, why should I stop now? Um, so it was the funny thing, actually, I can never forget. But at the end of the day, I knew that if it is not me, then who's going to take the entity forward? I'm not sure if someone comes and sees or finds so much damage, or does not find a team to move forward, or LCPs or like membership to move forward. I'm not sure how that person would react. Maybe not actually accept the position. And I knew that I had to finish my story so I could share it in these events like today. And I even asked you at the beginning of this um, presentation if actually I left or not. And if I had left, I would not have been here. So, and actually recently, I was interviewed for Siemens, and the guy was still focused on my position as head of operations and president of ISIC in the UAE. So he said, can you tell me about your challenge in these positions? And I actually shared not everything now, especially the finance. I do not talk about it outside ISIC. It's just not ethical. But I shared some of my other challenges. And there were like there were four people who interviewed me. They were mind blown. I mean, I could see it on their face. So and the guy who told me, Shaima, at a very young age, and you have gone through a lot of challenges like these. This is mind blowing. Um, and I mean, I didn't know what to say, but I was like, I really wanted to experience this. I wanted to challenge myself, and I wanted to get out of the comfort zone. And I knew Isaac could give me that. So if I had to go to an entity where everything was perfect, then I'm not sure I would understand how I act in very challenging environment, or how would I think in these challenging environment. Maybe I thought that I could just give up and leave. But today I know that I do not give up, and I keep continuing, and I keep going forward so I can complete my story. Um, So I want to ask you, so what is your ISIC story will be? And I do not think this is only for ISIC. Even sometimes you're challenged at work, you are challenged if you're building your own startup. If you are, it could be within your family. You know, I had a lot of resistance from my parents when I was in ISAC. And I actually had to tell them this is what I really feel comfortable doing and I want to go forward with. So um, I mean, what's your story going to be? Are you going to run away or are you going to keep going?
Keep going.
Definitely. Okay, perfect. Any more questions? I think this is just a sum up of my own experience.
I have a question.
Yes, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
I have a question. How did you know? You mentioned previously that you fired two people. I have two questions actually, two small questions. How did you know that they broke the policy? And how did you know that they broke the policy? And like what kind of like what kind of things did they do? Like for
Okay.
example, sending a person to India and telling them that your ticket is finished, but their ticket is not finished. And how did you feel after you trained them and all of this effort, and then like you just fired them? Like, was it hard on you, or was it easy for you? Like after training them and putting all of this effort, because like firing someone, like I've read this once, that firing someone should be like very straight. Like when you fire someone, you just say you're fired. Like خلاص, you're
And
fired,
I
and
did
that's
that.
it.
I actually did that. I told him
Yeah.
there were two people actually. I told him,
Shaima,
yes, Mohammed,
yeah, I will just answer before you go.
please go ahead.
Because I was part of the team, so they were fired because they did not follow what the team wants to, what's the team basically agreed on to work as. Before we establish our team, we put the guidelines on how we want to work, and since the first week they did not agree on these policies and they did not agree and they break it immediately. So it was not more of operation, but it was of team wise and commitments to the team itself. Yeah, and it was serious break to the laws. Then Shem, you can answer the part which is how you did it and what was the feeling about it.
I think, yeah, I mean, I fired them on spot. But it was difficult, as I mentioned previously. I really went crazy. I spoke to one of the alumni and he actually thought I went crazy. And he's like, Shema, let's meet so we can talk about it. I was like, no, I cannot, I do not want to meet anyone. I need to stay alone and I need to gather my thoughts so I can see what I can do. And back then it was just like, it was in August, I remember, and we were planning for a big recruitment. And can you imagine, like, you have these your plan, and then something comes in between where you cannot achieve this plan because one of them was actually handling talent management. So it was really difficult, but I overcame it by I gathered the LCPs and I gathered all my MCs, and I said, guys, I need your help. I need extra hands here to actually run recruitment now. And everyone was very collaborative. So yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
I think there's a question in the chat. I'm not sure if you're able to view it.
Yes, I can see. I actually can see the chat, but there's no much. Okay.
I could read out the question for you if you want.
I'm just reading it. Sorry. I think this is a question. So if it is about DP World, it's a question from Mohammed, because Mohammed was the project manager later. That's what I assigned him for.
I was, I think the question was how you get them, but I was managing after you getting them. Anyways, so if you want to answer how you got them, this is a new Shaima. But if someone wants to apply, I can put the link now and they can apply. So yeah, you were before me, so I don't know how you get them.
Okay, yeah. So it was through an ISAC alumni. That's how we got them. We were introduced through an ISAC alumni who actually had a meeting with them, and they said, we want to get some volunteers for Expo 2020, and then he connected me to them. So, okay, and then the next one was, I mean, ISAC alumni can do a lot, so stick to them. An example is me. Maybe I can get you another contract through different companies. But the next one is, I think it's if an advice for the current and the new members. I think sometimes you want like your LCP, or you want like your members, but you still have to go, and you still have to know why are you in ISAC, and if you don't know why are you in ISAC, and if you're there for the wrong reasons, I think you are just not going to continue. And because I remember when I joined as head of operations, it was very confusing at the beginning, but I kept actually educating myself and understanding what do I want to do during the term and stuff like that. I had the help of the other MCs and my MCP, which we didn't actually have a very good relationship, as an example, but I didn't say that I never wanted to continue in ISAC. So yeah, it's just going, keep moving. Yeah. Any other questions? Hello, hi guys. I'm still here. If there's no questions, then maybe we can.
I guess there are no questions, I guess.
Okay, perfect. Thank you everyone for just thanking me on the chat.
Thank you so much.